Making connections. In making connections, transistors typically have three wire leads. The leads in the typical three-lead transistors are the base, emitter, and collector. A base is wired to a voltage or current and turns the transistors on and off. Emitter, collector's leads connect to a positive or negative voltage source or ground, which lead goes where varies with the circuit. And you can see this arrangement in this figure here. Now, a few transistors, most notably the field effect transistor or the FET, includes a fourth lead. Now, this lead grounds the case to the chassis of the circuit. Transistor types. First, transistors qualify as either NPN or PNP devices. These mysterious abbreviations refer to the sandwiching or junctions of the semiconductor materials inside the device. Unless you have an X-ray vision, you can't tell me the difference between an NPN and PNP transistor just by looking at them. However, the catalog specification sheets as well as schematics should tell you the difference as in this figure here. Now you select the NPN and PNP devices based on how you plan to use the transistors in the circuit. And we can't get into the nitty-gritty of choosing an NPN or PNP transistor here because it could fill the whole video. We can say that you can't mix and match NPN and PNP transistors. If a circuit calls for a PNP transistor, you can't substitute an NPN type without expecting to see a smoke billowing out of some part of your device. As you didn't have enough stuff to memorize, in addition to the junction type, transistors are categorized by how the junction is created during manufacturing. The two main types of transistors that you're likely to encounter are bipolar and FET. Now here's how they differ. We have the bipolar transistors. These transistors are the most common kind and they're the kind that we cover in the preceding sections actually. A small input current is applied to the base of the transistor and this in turn changes the amount of current that flows between the collector and emitter. Then we also have the FET or the field effect transistors. These transistors have the three connections, but you call those connections the gate, source, and drain. Rather than base, collector, and emitter, applying a voltage to the gate controls the current between the source and drain. The FETs come in two types, the N channel similar to NPN and the P channel similar to PNP. Packing parts together on integrated circuits. All the components that we mentioned in the earlier videos of this chapter is actually just one to package. Electronics mavens call them discrete components, meaning separate. Now don't confuse the word with discrete, which means minding your own business. Enter the integrated circuit, the true marvel of the 20th century, also called a chip or the IC. These amazing creations are miniature circuit boards produced on a single piece of semiconductor. A typical integrated circuit contains hundreds of transistors, resistors, diodes, and capacitors. Because of this circuit efficiency, you can build really complex circuits with just a couple of parts. ICs are the building blocks of larger circuits. You string them together to form just about any electronic device you can think of. Now, the way that all the components are wired inside an IC determines what IC does. You can either solder the IC directly into the circuit board or mount it in a socket.